Welcome to the Angels Positivity and Love Show. Incredible guests the world over with amazing experiences. Not always near death experiences, but that's what we have in terms of a guest coming back on today. Amazing wisdom, insights, and much more to share with us. I'd argue that they're sharing their energy, which is love, with all of you, the audience. We've been in place as a show for over 2 years. We have an offshoot called the APL Spotlight Series. We have really fun guests come back there for a deeper dive. We've got mind, body, spirit panels and more. So please check out the whole channel. We're over 500,000 views on the channel itself, and we can use any emojis as comments. If you're shy, the way to go is a single emoji, but go ahead and write something as well. What did you enjoy most? Today, coming to us from New York, Long Island area, Lcsw therapist, two-time best-selling author, Jacob Cooper. He's an author. I'm going to say he's a healer. He loves helping people. He participates in a lot of panels, workshops, conferences all over. He's been doing this quite a while, and I'm excited to have him back on. You can check him out, though, on his original appearance. It would have been November of 2024. And for my master full guest list for everything, go to my website, michaelandreford.com. You'll find it pretty quickly, and a little bit of details about them, plus all their websites are under each face for each album art. Jacob, great to see you again. Thank you for coming back on.
Michael, an honor to be here. An honor to reconnect with you again. We missed seeing you and here we are.
Well, I love having you on because, in particular, I feel your vibe when you're talking. You're super calm, reassuring. Just by people tuning into you, the way I describe it is the weather's sunny, it's nice, it's warm, it's embracing. And so I think you bring something to people, and I don't think the audience can get enough of you. Again, when you're on a roll, having fun. So, where are you today with everything? What's going on, and what's the big picture for mankind a little later? We're going to try to tackle the nitty gritty and
Mhm.
all the fun and love as well.
There's a lot going on. My assignment remains the same where I had a near-death experience, like I said, just at a young age in a playground. And the task remains the same, is just to be a child in the eternal playground of God, to have fun, to be a brothers and sisters keeper, and hopefully, to make a ripple effect and to make someone else's life a little bit brighter. But more importantly, allow people to really remember who they really are. And, I think we have a massive soul that didn't come here to play small. And so people are able to remember that they're beyond a name, a gender, a job, a car, a house, that they are an eternal soul. Their life becomes more soulful. So that's what I'm trying to do on a personal and external level. But some of the practical stuff, just a lot of fun workshops. I'm going to be heading over to the Omega Institute, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you've also partaken in. So that's going to be fun in October with my friend Karen Noe and Mark Anthony, Psychic Lurs, and a couple others. And a lot of fun things happening, these days. But I think for me, it's kind of like I've been a solo artist for quite some time. And now I feel like, I'm being a part of the Beatles. I have, some great cast members that I'm doing things with and just creative work. And that's just so much fun because I could get a little bit bored of myself. And if you're able to work with other people, and I think that's what Spirit wants to do, is many heads are better than one head, and they want more collaboration with this stuff. So that's what I'm doing a lot of is a lot of partnership and group panels and team, kind of workshops with other people, collaborations. That's, a lot of what I'm doing these days.
Mm. And talk to us a little bit about you in terms of either your dream time, your exercise, and maybe what's coming in the middle of exercise. How have things shifted for you over the years in terms of what you're allowing for and what's coming through?
It's a great question. Hmm. As they say in the Bible, for much is given, much is required. And, I think for ourselves and myself, it's very much a time about taking care, myself, trying to eat right, move right. Because again, sometimes we just think we're these eternal spirits, we have all this power in us, but you could be the greatest driver in the world, but if the car is a little bit off, it's not going to run as properly. So taking care of the body seems to be what spirit is showing me in so many people that I interact with, where you just can't get too in the clouds or you forget, hey, I have this beautiful body. I gotta, feel it right. I got to give it the right things. So for me, that's been the big task at hand. In terms of mindset, um, just finding ways to see people with the eyes of the soul versus the eyes of the ego, and seeing the beauty beyond the surface, which easier said than done. I mean, some could really, and look, sometimes you just kind of go your different distances, but I've found when I've played with that, I've been able to find a lot of beauty beyond, some of the barriers or the distances or the distractions.
And we're going to jump right now to if you had to give five kind of main headlines for somebody who's just coming in, either to yourself, to the show, or to the concept of spirituality, or just openness in life, allowing a little more, we'll call it light to come in, or a little
Hmm.
more fun, a little more flexibility. What are some of your main messages or reminders to folks to not try too hard, but how can they get up
Hmm.
to speed on everything that's happening?
Yeah, it's a great question. First of all, um, in our world, it's very diametrically different than the spirit realm, this earth realm that we're in, where in a sense you have to work hard to get almost anything. And so in order to be anything, you have to do things, right? And the spirit realm is much different. The spirit realm is really removing of all those barriers and recognizing that you have awareness, you have memory, you have an ability to understand all the stuff that we're talking about. And I think that's why people are gravitating to channels like these, because there's just this voice that may be buried, over years of the human condition that has a knowingness. And it's also not your fault. I do believe, from day one, we've been told, hey, we're nothing. And so the world is put on our mind instead of our beautiful eternal mind impacting the world. So I think really finding ways to be empowered is a big driving force with what people, why people gravitate to more spirituality versus maybe leaving some of the more dogmatic practices that they were brought up in. And, I think that's a big part of it. And but also to be curious, to be playful, and to be childlike, which, you know, is much different than the world that we grow up in. We grow up in the world that says abandon your child, run away from your child, evolve from your child, become serious, become an adult, but really your inner child, when you think about it, that's the closest to the spirit realm. You came here with that knowingness in that kid, and then you were told to push that aside, to be in your left brain, to be serious, to be in this box. And sure, to survive in a way, you need those gears. But to thrive, you need to really fully embrace your spiritual being in this human experience from the long term. You came here to a full-fledged experience in this human body, but remembering that there is a spiritual being. So, it's not that serious. Like, be light, be joyful, be playful. Play some, I don't know if you're into Prince or whatever, let's go crazy, whatever your song is. Just have fun, enjoy, and be light, and also to explore. The earth right now wouldn't be where it was without people challenging the paradigms of the time that it was a flat place, and the explorers were able to just challenge that and say, no, I don't think so, and I'm going to be daring and explore. And they found that that was not the case, and they found other lands. And so, on a physical basis, if we can do that, imagine the things that we could do with these unseen forces. And so I think sometimes to find yourself, you have to be willing to lose something that you were holding on to that doesn't best serve your greatest and highest goods to find a whole world beyond, that box. So those are some simple steps, but to be gentle, be playful, laugh, dance, and it's not all that serious.
Well said. Tame Impala, Small Black, and Grimes here. Maybe a little Radiohead. Okay, talk to us about your day-to-day mechanics in terms of, or long-term, has it always been your little voice popping in? Has it been angels directly, their voices, a combination? Can you, or another way that it goes down, is it a conversation all day long if you wanted to? If it was a really long walk on a beach, how would it go down if you're connecting? Can you give us some flavor, some details?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think a lot of people, let's say they have dreams, right? And they might have someone that they love appear in their dreams, which is called a spirit visitation. I always say it's not because it's 3 o'clock in the morning and it's dark out and you got your salt lamp on, that all of a sudden your loved ones and the angels just show up. I think they've been there the whole time. What really is happening is your brain is becoming a lot more relaxed from getting to those deeper brainwave states. And so spirit communication and the mind could really open itself. And so I find, and I know you mentioned Thich Nhat Hanh, earlier in the segment, he has a quote that I open up one of my books with, which is the quieter becoming more that you can hear. And so really a lot of this is, you know, mm, that's it. That's the man. And look at those eyes, the eyes of an old soul for sure. A man who's been here many, many times, very evolved. But I think for myself and for other people, we have this connection. It's just like Wi-Fi, and Mm, the slower your brainwave vibrates, the quicker you vibrate. So you want to get into those slower brainwaves to really connect, and then they're all around us. So for myself, yeah, I mean, certainly going to a beach, in nature expands the mind, but it also reflects the mind as to who you really are, which is an expanded being in the same light, the same creative force that created that beauty around you. You didn't think that also created you too? So we have to stop thinking that we're so small and we're just this box. We are so much more than we could think. But for myself, the angels appear a lot, dream states or when I'm in the zone, or at sometimes in crises, throughout my life, like or traumatic moments. And I think for myself and other people, they're really here to remind us that whatever comes up in the surface of life just does not last, that there's a bigger picture and it's really helping us to be more resilient. And so it's kind of like the analogy that they're trying to remind us where you're driving on the road and no matter what happens, you're going to be fine at the end because there is no end. And so certainly there may be bumps, but you just remind yourself, hey, no matter what I go through, I'm gonna be fine no matter what happens to me. And it's only gonna be an opportunity to grow as, any challenge or difficulty presents. And so for myself, that's been a lot of what the angels do, but also just, you know, when you feel alone or feeling isolated, knowing the illusion of that and knowing how much we have around us at all times, if only we could take our blinders off and remind ourselves that, if only you knew what was around you, you could never really be alone.
If you were to give us one mantra right now, or just a reminder, as short as possible, what is
That's a good one. A short reminder for people. I would just say you are much more than you could ever possibly imagine. You have a body. You're not a body. You're an eternal soul that is here where you could only be yourself as you know it in this lifetime. So really embrace this journey. And the last thing is, at the end of the day, the only thing that you carry with you is love. And love is a very versatile term. It's not just in a romantic sense, but it could be experiences, memories, people that you encounter, moments. And I want to say that all these things that you're building are very real and they continue and the experiences that you had with someone that you loved was very real. And that does not stop. Those moments echo for eternity. And so that is the philo that carries over, beyond this world. So you want to create a better heaven created here, because what we're doing over here will continue to carry once we cross over. But love is what continues when our body goes.
and during a typical week, when are you? We talked about choppy waters or daily life can get a little rough. That's an
Hmm.
understatement for a lot of
Oh,
us.
sure.
When is it the opposite? The ocean once every 90 days, if you go out at 5 a.m., whether it's Newport, Rhode Island or Newport Beach, California, once in a blue moon, there's no waves, there's no wind.
Hmm.
It's like glass or a mirror. During the week for you, when are you experiencing that mirror? Perfect calm? Is it meditating, watercolor painting? Is it a walk on the beach? Talk to us about when you have everything sort of align and you're completely at peace and expansion.
Well, I mean, for myself, I pop open the door and I look in my backyard and I have the water around me, and that's my peace. I live, I'm not Jesus. I don't live on the water, but I live next to the water. I can't walk on water, but for me, that's my peace. But I find mm, peace to me is. Yes, you're receiving the things that you love, but for myself, it's also within the work that I do. And when someone, let's say, comes into my office or maybe sends an email or attends one of my workshops and starts to reevaluate themselves and to feel better about their lives, that gives me peace. That generates life. There's nothing better than hearing that someone feels better. And to give the analogy of the water, as they say, high tides rises all boats. And so the more that we're able to take and the more that we're able to vibrate, on a higher frequency, the more that we're able to impact our surroundings, just as you do, in every day. But we all have our Shrek moments, and we could all get, very kind of kind of what's the word I'm trying to look for? Very kind of feral or whatever, but we work through those things, and meditation softens all those things and gets us to our inner core, you know, so I think we all have a divine spark, and that's a place of calm. Everything else going on is just distractions from what is really happening inside of you.
Welcome to being human. And if you don't like sushi, it's okay to be vocal about it. But back off the topic once in a while. Okay, if you're sponsored by an Omega Institute or Spirit Rock or Kripalu or Esalen, and they wanted to hand you a $300,000 grant, they told you can't stay in the United States. You have to go on a spiritual trek somewhere around the globe. It could be the Himalayas, Africa, Greece, Asia, somewhere where you can only pick one spot. Where do you secretly want to go? And maybe there's a spiritual angle to it. Where would you go?
Oh, I see. And it could only be one place.
Only one place.
hmm I've, right now I'm really gravitating to Egypt for sure. It's one of the longest periods of historical civilizations of time. Certainly when I do a lot of past life regressions, the majority of my clients have, one incarnation there, and, it's for a reason. It was such a long period, and historically there's just so much there. And it's right there in front of you. And you come off the plane, you could see the pyramids right then and there. So for myself, that is always a place that intrigues me. And, and I would obviously love to be in that particular pocket of the world. Certainly something tropical. I think that's nice, but a place to me with a lot of rich historical context like Egypt is calling me at the moment. Yeah.
We're going to light some sage. This is a staple of the show. You can catch it through two screens, and it doesn't matter if it's the year 2035. Again, you're in Berlin, you're in Egypt, you're in Taiwan, you're watching, and you're like, wait, what's going on? Time and space isn't what you think it is. Just allow, allow, allow. We've done this before. At home, though, do set your intent. And that would just be like, universe, angels, help me out of my head into my heart. Help me catch a little sage. If you need
hmm
more, ask for more. And Jacob, I've almost got this lit. You might already start smelling it right now. Okay. And a little wafting with the red-tailed hawk feather. I always forget to say that on the show.
I'm trying to decipher the sage that I burned this morning and the sage that you're sending me, but I might need some coffee beans to clear up my olfactory zones. But okay.
Getting it now?
Yeah, yeah.
Ask for flowers. And then I'm going to blow Egypt your way. We'll see if an angel, and two angels from now, we'll see if an angel can bring ancient Egypt to you. But let's try a little. Let's see if we can have Charlotte bring in some ancient Egyptian incense.
hmm
And I'm going to snub this out. But here we go. See if you can catch, there'll be ingredients in it that people haven't had for whatever it is, 4,000 years? I've forgotten the number. See if you can catch something different. Let me snub this out. I'll put up Joy next and catch a topic from her to talk about. And Joy's just Joy. She's on everyone's team. She's a very high vibe, very cosmic. I don't think people realize how big she is. And if anybody wants to, they can put their hand out, feel the vibe, or just get a little vortex of love and light around you. Jacob, what's the reminder she has for all of us?
Mm. Okay. She's showing me, I believe her name is Glinda from The Wizard of Oz. And when I see Glinda, it's always the message of you had the power in you, all the time. And I think, that movie is fascinating on so many levels and the different archetypes and psychological messages, but I also think it represents in many ways the spirit realm and kind of like the dream state that we have and how we're connected to this, higher realm and it's always in our own backyard, this beautiful place. There's no place like home, all those things. But certainly creating that was no easy situation and a lot of oppressive behaviors by a lot of the powers that be at the time, but and we send, healing to that, but certainly a great message for humanity to remember, there's no place like home, and that's a place we're always connected to. We try to go so far, go away from it, become something different, but at the end of the day, we have enough inside of us in our own backyard, and that's certainly one of the lessons of my NDE that all truths, lie within. And sometimes we have to be careful the positionality that we are facing when we're trying to find these grand truths. And a lot of people are looking millions of miles away from themselves instead of just turning and flipping that position within.
I
So,
think the next question is basically what you just answered, but we'll have because there's always another way to rephrase it to remind people to touch people so they go, "Oh, yeah, it's right in front of me." I'm gonna put up Thich Nhat Hanh next, but okay, I'm going to put up Thich Nhat Hanh, and the question is literally no try, always try. Yoda said no try. Archangel Gabriel once reminded us always try, but it's
mhm.
not about the words. They're both correct. It's about going beyond the words and about the seeking. So here's Thich Nhat Hanh to help out. Can you reapproach the whole topic you were just saying? And bring in Thich Nhat Hanh and then go from there for answering this. How is it about the heart?
Mhm. Yeah. It's again, mm, okay. The brain and the heart, couple inches away, but could be millions apart, million miles apart, and you really have to understand, how important the brain is. Not only do we have a brain in our head, but we also, Harvard science has really proven that there's an intelligence, and the same part of that intelligence within the heart. So yes, the heart is loving, but the heart is also deeply wise and intelligent as well. And so the two cannot be at war. We have to find ways for the two to really merge. It's very important because at times one overtakes the other, and why not coexist? Why does one have to win? So I would say finding ways for the two to merge, and that's really, you know, and again, there's like that old Native American kind of thing, like the two wolves kind of things, but why not take care of the two? Why can't the two coexist and join with each other and kind of be like a hybrid car, if you will?
Nice. Okay, I'm going to put up Archangel Michael's pick. I've got him a bunch of different ways. It's not about a white ball light, although it is, but there's Michael, Raphael, Uriel, and
Yeah.
Gabriel in the shot. I chopped out the other three triangles for Zadkiel, Shamiel, and Jophiel. But here's Michael. Catch a topic from him. It might take us in an entirely new direction. It's a reminder for us all. What's he saying?
Mhm. Just tuning in a little bit. Hmm. Hmm. That's interesting. He's showing me a tree for whatever reason, like kind of like a California redwood, which is like you look at it in awe, but people look at it and it's great, it's brilliant, the branches, everything like that. But what we forget is how deeply rooted that tree must be to uphold. And so, yes, as brilliant as we could see some of our ideas and things that we've created and all that stuff, we have to remember what we're rooted in and where it all comes from and what we're all connected to. And so I think that's what's important is to remember like we're all rooted in eternity, we're all rooted in God, and we're just channeling that within the works and our creations that we share to humanity.
He once said, there's very little I remember over 13 years, but this just popped in. Set your intent, repeat as a mantra for any direction you want to go. And I love that from him. Here's Gabriel. Same deal. What's he have as a reminder for us all? And if people want to notice the different vibrations sort of on one side versus the other, you can feel it with your hands. If you want to put up both hands, you can at home. Right hand will feel different than the left hand. It's just love and a different vibration of love.
Mhm.
What are you getting from Gabriel?
A balanced approach of being compassionate as well as being silly and funny as well too, and humorous, and finding ways to do that. And that helps people to loosen up and to really connect to their true self. But yeah, Gabriel is, yes, they take things seriously as needed, but also they're able to just have fun, enjoy, and to be in balance,
I,
is what I connect to.
I have a Native American figure, unconditional love, Lakota Sioux chief named Red Shirt. He's the gentlest mom in the world.
Mhm.
Compassion, compassion, compassion. He's wearing a U.S. presidential medal. Teddy
Yeah.
Roosevelt White House parade the day after the photo was taken, horseback with Geronimo
Hmm.
in front of the White House. But Red Shirt, super sweet, soft words. But when he
Mhm.
speaks, you pay attention. What are you getting from him? And if you want to catch one of those 50 sacred scents in the air, tobacco, sucrase, juniper, sage, pine, juniper. You get the idea. What are you getting
Yeah.
here?
Wow. And we call that magneticism with Teddy Roosevelt, speak softly, carry a big stick. So there's a lot of parallels of their souls with the two of them. But really, it's about unity, it's about honor, and it's just about connection to the land. And obviously, for the message for others is yes, honor differences, but reminding ourselves we're under this one umbrella in humanity. We're all connected. And so oneness does not mean sameness, but we're able to really honor some of the surface level differences while finding the unity consciousness beyond, the surfaces.
And we're going to go to a couple more angels, but we're pausing for a second. Mark Anthony and Karen Noe. You introduced me to Karen Noe, and I
Hmm.
think Mark Anthony, as well as I had another outreach to him. But Mark's been on a couple of Mind, Body, Spirit panels, and he's taped a couple shows. Karen's, I think, taped her second or is about to tape her second. So thank you. Can you do a shout out for folks if they wanted to go somewhere else and check out here on this channel? Mark Anthony down in Florida. His material here, what would you want to remind people about when they tune into him? What do they need to know for Mark Anthony?
Wow, my God. That's, I don't know if I could possibly have time to describe my admiration, for the two of them, Mark and Karen.
We'll do
Uh,
Karen
but
next,
but
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 you got to do a shout out for Mark. And if
I
you're watching this,
I
then
would
he's
say
turning
I
red.
would say if you combine one of the greatest historians that you've ever seen that see on television, combine that with an Einstein level of intellect and scientific knowledge, and then you put Edgar Casey or one of the greatest mediums combined, that's what you get. So to me, Mark is a unicorn. I mean, the word for it is kind of like a mesa, where someone is just an absolute genius in so many ways, but Mark is one of the most brilliant men I've ever encountered, a pure national treasure for certain, and someone who's really merging, science and spirituality, and is very innovative and beyond his years. And yes, his work is appreciated now, but long after he's gone, it's just going to continue to rise. And he's a treasure without question.
He didn't just go to Oxford in the UK as
Yeah.
an athlete recruit. Okay, Karen Noe. Let's
Yeah.
do a shout out to her, and then again, we're going to two more angels, so buckle up at home. But for Karen Noe, she's again another great figure who I think's at Omega a lot and
Hmm.
elsewhere quite a bit. She's a regular fixture on a bunch of circuits. So,
Yeah.
Karen, what do people need to know?
Well, they're both dear friends of mine, but I'm not biased. If I didn't know Mark or Karen on a friend level, I would say the same thing. Karen, brilliant medium, channeler. She's very high vibrational. She's a definite, looks like it, sounds like it, acts like it, very angelic. She has a magnetism where people come to her and they feel safe, they feel heard, they feel validated, they feel understood. And, there's a reason why she continues to ascend and to reach these great pockets is that she's authentic, she's pure, she's in this for all the right reasons. She's brilliant, she's gifted, and, we're, again, another treasure as well, too, without question, and someone whose spirit has really handpicked to be, a leading guiding force, within this time. So, again, another Mount Rushmore figure of all these things.
I love it. And I'll add her eyes. When she lights up, she lights up. She's
Yeah.
a lot of fun. Okay, an angel named Charlotte, everybody's favorite school teacher from third form or third grade, if you're in New Zealand, third form, Canada. Not the one who got you in trouble, the nice one. But she's got words of wisdom meant to help you expand. But for Jacob, and I don't get to say this that often, she's also got the ancient Egyptian angle going. She might have been Nefertiti bringing compassion to the ancient
Mm,
Egyptians. So
wow.
allow for that ancient Egyptian incense to start coming in the room and say, got it when you got it. Let Michael help you out, Joy help you out. But only about 200 people have gotten this last year, this year. And I think it's what, 4,500 years ago or so? I've forgotten the number, but that's a long time. And there'll be ingredients in there that you just can't put your finger on. Are you getting the incense?
I have my Nag Champa burning, so I have to decipher. Is this, so again, the coffee beans. I had the sage and now the Nag Champa,
I'm gonna
but
blow through the microphone up top today. But ask her
I
a private question, get an answer, get a couple hugs. We'll buy time, and I'm
I
gonna
would yeah, I would
here.
assume there's some frankincense and myrrh in there because that's probably rather ancient of a blend, but I could be off. But hmm. There's potentially some flower bases as well as in there too.
So you're getting
So
something.
getting something, obviously logically you think maybe, from Jesus, frankincense and myrrh, one of the eldest kind of blends of oils or incense to burn, but there is potentially some flowers, that I am detecting. Yeah.
And on this one, if you don't mind putting a hand or two out to the photo, even though it's through two screens, anybody can do this at home. Feel sparkle, warmth, joy, something on your hands. Try too
Mhm.
hard, it'll be on your toes. Um, Catch what you can catch. Catch an insight from her. If you want to close your eyes, you can even see a little bit of ancient Egypt. It's what will you allow for daily? Good luck with that. But let angels step in and do a little more allowing with you. Have
Mhm.
fun with this one, but see what you can pick up. And then also a topic, because it's not just compassion back then, it's compassion now, a whole new version of compassion.
Mhm.
There's a trillion layers of it. If you could talk to us about something, she's going to give you the edge on it to go
Mhm.
forward on the talking.
Mhm.
And hopefully
Yeah.
I got that out okay.
Okay.
And you're feeling her, right? Just so people at home can check or track or follow.
Certainly feeling. It's funny, she's just like showing me this Jesus quote where it's like, there are many mansions in my father's palace or something like that. So we just can't, and I've been there having a near-death experience, but I could say near-death experiences, as beautiful as they are, they're almost kind of like going to an airport and feeling the city. It's just like a real preview. And we can't imagine how beautiful, that world is, but we don't have to wait to cultivate it. I think if the more that we're able to remember that, we can embody it and we can create it here. And by doing that, it's really transcending the ego, which seeks to be right or wrong, has separation consciousness. And I think more so of our lives need to be governed by that same energy of unity consciousness, loving consciousness, as Karen channels the we consciousness. So that's very important, particularly in this time where it's like one big gang. You're this or you're that, and at the end of the day, we all have this file line. If we're able to remember that, we're able to behave accordingly. So again, beliefs and behaviors have such a big correlationship. And so for either spectrum and with bigger beliefs, we could have better behaviors.
Okay, this just came in. How close do you, when you have a near-death experience, and there's so many different versions,
Hmm.
types, stories, and so on, but something big happens, is a lot of love, at least a lot of light, a lot of
Hmm.
something that you really can't touch again necessarily, unless you're, uh,
Hmm.
I'm thinking of two different three-time near-death experiencers. I just can't think of their names. They've been guests on the show. Michelle Claire's one, the
Oh, wow.
NASA oceanographer, Ingrid Hankala is another. And then there's the Dr. Yvonne Kassan, who's had five. One was a plane crash she survived
Oh
up
my
in
God.
Canada, who did Spiritual Awakenings International. People can check out those guests. Can you take it down a notch? And during the ordinary course of life, there are certain moments where you get close, or you start to do that connecting again, where you're like, oh my God, I'm really going through a lot of expansion right now. It could be coming in
Mhm.
contact with Karen or Mark, or maybe you have to go back a few years, just the location of where you're at. You're feeling so connected to the earth. Can you take us through a couple of those samples, like almost like appetizers at a restaurant? Where have you come close where you get caught off guard? You didn't know that was coming in, that
Mhm.
connection to all there is. Can you it may be very
Mhm.
private, but can you share a few of those moments? It could be just through meditation. You
Mhm.
touch it and your angels kind of step in. Where are you having those experiences? You might be reaching back. It might be last week. Do you mind sharing a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, around a decade ago, a little over a decade ago, I had an extended out-of-body experience, which kind of happened out of the blue, but essentially what I did was I just started to look at reality the way that I was seeing it or the way that I was told it to be. And I looked at it dead in the eyes and I just started cracking up with every single part. And it wasn't just like a shallow laugh, this was a deep laughter with every cell in my body. And through this laughter, I could feel my physical body just kind of like a wet towel. You're wringing out all the pain, all the tension, everything that's happened to you. And it's just letting go. And I just had this burst of expansion where I just saw that life is absolutely fine and perfect just as is, regardless of what is on the surface. There is a deep beauty and a deep peace always, on the depths of the ocean. There's nothing to, in the long term, worry about or be concerned about, in the end. And so it just reminded me like, hey, we're eternal no matter what the heck is thrown your way. You're gonna be all right. It's gonna be fine. Like, stop bracing for the future. Stop clinging to the past, which is very Lao Tzu like, but Thich Nhat Hanh is to be like in the now, in the present, and to remind yourself of the safety of life itself.
Mm.
That no matter what, life goes on. Bruce Lee, be like water. It flows no matter what. And so that was just a beautiful experience in which I really had a lot of spiritual beings that were with me and an awareness of who I really am and who we all are, which is unencumbered, free, expansive, beautiful soul that doesn't have to be bogged down by all the suffering and challenges in front of us, but rather could understand those things as a crux of the purpose to speak to those things and to understand those who come in our path. So I think this earth is very much a training ground for us as potential guides on the other side. And so we're going through maybe some of these separation consciousness or suffering to know what that's like so that we could speak to or be more empathetic with those that we may be contracted to when we cross over. And we're able to do that right now and here as a training ground in this life too.
Well, I'm looking for a quote from Star Wars that was Obi-Wan Kenobi talking to Luke about you're going to find that many of the things you were absolutely certain about actually are very variable, depend on
Mhm.
one's thinking. And I'm not finding the quote, but I did want to go to, I'll see if I can find it while we get you talking about the next thing. I never get to talk about sports on this show, and I'm going to try it once out of 250 plus recordings. You don't
Well,
have to be a big NFL fan or even fantasy football. But what I love about fantasy football is you go in and you're a New York Jets fan, diehard. You could never imagine rooting for another team. What are you going to do? Um, but fantasy football opens you up to suddenly cheering on different players who are on different teams. You get a
mhm.
greater appreciation of different perspectives. Suddenly you're a little more about the, Los Angeles Chargers or Rams or the Seattle Seahawks or whoever. And then you even get a couple favorites. You follow them as they jump to a different team. And then imagine what happens when your Jets quarterback suddenly might become, and I don't think this happens, a New York Giants quarterback. Aaron Rodgers might end up being at the Giants. Who knows? At the time of this taping. But the point is, you have to have a little bit of comedy or a comic approach to all this. Things change. And you
Yeah.
can't be married forever in this business of the NFL. And NFL's okay as an analogy, right?
Oh, I am one of the biggest football fans. It's funny that you're mentioning this. I'm a massive diehard Jets fans. Like you asked me top five things on this planet that I like the most. Jets give me, difficult time, but they may be up there. Um, you know, it's certainly taught me loyalty, but it's the one sport that I'm really fully immersed in. But yeah, you're right. I think sometimes we get very called into rooting for like one team, and we have to remind ourselves like, it's all kind of fun and games, but we're all just a part of the same team, and
And it's always changing.
it's no us versus them, and it's changing, it's shifting, and there's just really one team. And so yeah, I'm a fan of the game first and foremost, and I root for players' success. You know, yeah, unless they're playing my team, but beyond that, I want them to do well and to thrive and to have great careers and make good money. And yeah.
Well, let's take it to the daily living kind of spiritual meaning of it all. And here's that quote from Star Wars. Luke, you're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend on our own point of view.
Mm,
Obi-Wan Kenobi from the original Star Wars, and he's trying to loosen him up for the shock that's going to take place as he realizes the universe and everything that he thought he knew is much bigger than we
yeah.
ever appreciate. And with that, so it is with football, fantasy football, and what we knew one moment isn't always true the next. And oh my gosh, expectations, disappointment, and the rest. Talk to us about how there's a very deep spiritual aspect to both, obviously, Star Wars and being a New York Jets fan.
Well, Star Wars itself, I do believe started by one of the main guys behind it was George Lucas, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not the biggest Star Wars aficionado. I probably can't, teach college courses on it. There are those who can. But from what I do know is obviously there are a lot of spiritual lessons. One of them being is the Force, in you. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, in his later teens, maybe early 20s, Lucas was involved in a motorcycle accident that led to an NDE, or semblances of an NDE, in which I do believe was maybe part of his transformation and really understanding that force. So again, there's a lot of themes of, a little bit of dark and a little bit of good and that yin yang kind of thing. Uh, I would say two forces, but again, the force, that we have within, is incredibly potent and to remember, that force. And I think power is very important right now. Power, I think, is exercised in the wrong way, where that power and force is trying as a control mechanism or something you have over someone else. But I think power and force is really for yourself to be competent and to be connected to on an inner level. And when you're able to connect to that, that is really um, predicated on elevating those that, connect to your path, not to bring them down. So it's not about controlling others, but rather uplifting others when you do connect to your power, because you recognize how awesome it is. You want others to experience the same thing, and there's enough abundance of the force pie, because that's what all this life is, to go around. So I would say that is maybe a spiritual connection, certainly the force connecting to it and elevating and reminding people of that, which really Jesus did in itself. Like the kingdom of heaven in me is in you too. So just to be a reflective point, but certainly football, there's a lot of issues obviously I do have with it, and I think they're making a lot of changes, to protect the brains and to reduce, onsets of TBIs and all those kind of initiatives. But I think I think it was President Obama who made this statement, but he said politics or life is kind of like football, where sometimes you could feel like it's a little bit of a grind where you have a handoff, 10-yard loss, maybe 1 yard gain, but then eventually you have breakthrough and you make that big play, and magic happens. But as long as you're on the field, that's how you can make plays. It's like hard to make plays when you are in the stands or not a participant. So football really is about being on the field, being a participant, staying with the process. And regardless of big play, no play, continue to plow through and to be on the field. And, that's how, the magic could unfold.
Is that so, as they say in the whole Zen philosophy?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do straight Star Wars stuff. The Force in you and around you, it is. I'm gonna use this as a background. Blue Sky is number one. It's out of the Celestine Prophecy movie. You can see your light between your fingers. I'll be the guinea pig. But as Sue Frederick, you know as well, another one of those folks that you've hobnobbed with. She stated on her appearance on the show, they were doing this back in the 70s, and in India, they do it
Yeah.
this way. You can see a little bit of light between my fingers. The second you get that done and say something color wise, ask angels and everybody to make it nice and do
Hmm.
bigger. Get what you'll get. More important, instead of a dad joke, although I'll give one right now. Um, I'll give a quick one right now so people can get a cheesy dad joke. Why do all the fish in the ocean sing so poorly? Because it's really hard to tune a fish. I'm going to do Yoda's voice instead. And I'll
Okay.
do Yoda's voice so I'm off camera so it's not so embarrassing. No, do not. There is no try. In you, around you. The force is. What are you getting between my fingers?
Mm. At first, because Yoda was green, right? Connecting to that kind of energy, but definitely a lot of white light. Like I said, that seems to be, the color that I'm picking up on.
Okay, and then ask all the angels to come in. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel,
Yeah.
Charlotte, Joy, your crew.
Oh.
What are you getting now?
Hmm. A lot of violet coming in. So, yeah, violet definitely feeling right now.
And can you let it switch to words, a message, and a vibe from all the angels so you got something else to talk about? Just say got it when you got it. If you have to put your hands out or anything at home, go loosey goosey. Rub your hands in a circle. Don't make a fire. Um,
Mhm.
do anything. Yell, shout, do the hokey pokey. At home, you can do it in your privacy, but it's time to put a comment in. What have you enjoyed about what Jacob's saying? What are you seeing? Put an emoji down. You'll see comments all over these shows where people are catching
Mhm.
the sage or seeing light. So add something. It helps somebody else get less shy. Okay, Jacob, you got it. I can stop doing this.
Yep, I got the message.
Okay, what's the message?
We are with you, have always been with you, have always be around you, and you are perfect just as you are. That is a real big message that they're trying to send.
Oh, and I mean that's awesome. It's too bad it's not bumper sticker level. Otherwise, you got a bumper sticker you can put on your website that everybody would have to have on their vehicle. Okay, one more angel, unless you've something else later. But her name is Min, like Minnesota, Lakota Sioux word for water. There's a
Hmm.
Nuala in there, which is a Polynesian morning glory with morning glory flowers up top, sweet potatoes in the ground, and it's Ua and La in Hawaiian, rain and sun. So her name is Water Rainbow, Water Morning Glory. Just call her Min. She's my guardian angel, but 80,000 other people's guardian angel. And we had retired physician Karen Wyatt, August 30th of last year, episode 110, come on the show, and that's her guardian angel. And she got to
Mm,
meet her as a full on human on Redondo Beach for half an hour, like actual human. So let that all go. She's very watery, ocean, Mother Hawaii,
mm,
if you wish. I'll blow a little, see if you catch a little Hawaii in the room.
mm,
She's a soft-spoken professor, though. She's super chill. So catch something that you're like, oh my God, totally different vibe. I think
mm,
what's I would add, if I have to add one thing today, it's always surprising. It's not what you think it is or what's next, because it's never about the thinking. It's about more heart. And that's what, again, I'm going to try to throw a compliment to my guest. He's big in his heart, and you're going to feel him. And so that's why checking out his books, him listening to his voice is amazing. Okay, Min, what do you got from her? Are you catching a little ocean? I'm going to blow one more time. If you close,
Yeah.
catch a little sea spritz on your nose.
Mm.
You get the sea spritz?
Getting a lot of mermaid vibes, coming in and just kind of like rock, almost like a photo shoot, like she's really beautiful, but not in a vain way, like, hey, this is me, check it out, whatever. Like this is my natural state. I'm gorgeous. Like wake up like this, whatever kind of thing. So yeah.
Okay. If we're going to start to wrap it up, but we're not quite there yet, two or three big picture reminders. Remember, everybody, as you know from your daily doing the LCSW stuff,
Uh-huh.
counseling therapist, everyone comes in with my problem is, my situation is. And boy, are we locked in like a missile
Hmm.
system because we know what we know. No one's going to take away from what we think our dynamics are. But how do we pull out of that to allow for a bigger picture, a little more flow of life, and a little more help from the universe? Talk to us about some of those
Hmm.
tweakings that we can do daily.
Yeah. Well, it's like I guess maybe like a friend or a colleague of mine said in his book Conversations with God when he was very, his name is Neil Donald Walsh, he was very upset, distraught, like everything was crumbling, and he just wrote this angry letter to God, and God came in and said, something along the lines of like, do you really want to know, or are you just here to vent? And I think sometimes we have to decide if we're looking at our problems just to create more problems from looking at those, or do we want perhaps solutions? Are we seeking to find solutions? And yes, catharsis, venting, that's a part of it, but it's not to be like this hamster wheel where the problem, doesn't lead to solutions. So I certainly believe behind any problem, there lies a solution. It's like two coins of the same side, and it's like you just got to find, the two are connected. Um, so I think that openness and, that willingness to maybe shift perspectives to explore this, because I think some people has such an identity with the problem that it's very hard for them to maybe leave that form of identity to have an identity with the solution.
Whether it's illness, divorce, job layoff, this crisis,
Yeah,
your cousin asking
whatever that
for
is.
money, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
There's
Okay,
an attachment to it, and like we're afraid of like losing that mindset go, or maybe it's cultural, saying, "Hey, I am this, I'm that, I'm that," and we just are very negative, and that's just the way it is. And the soul is not negative. The soul is a beautiful being. So there's a whole social learning, factor that, comes into who we are, and we just have to decide to, you know, let go because we're here to maybe, take things and to evolve things that we were handed down, you know.
and we're going to do our final little interactive something with angels to that exact point of letting go, letting the universe come in. I'll see if I can keep all this straight. And then we're going to have you wrap this up for us. But I'm going to mention just a bunch of random words that are fun words. You're going to hear them on all the shows, and it's spirituality. But here we go. It's angels, positivity, love, duh, kindness, attention, compassion, appreciation, gratitude, allowing all, opening openness, acceptance, acknowledging, attention, setting your intent, attitude and awareness, and there's about a dozen more of those. Remember to remember if you can remember when you remember. I love that one. That's not even original. Songyal Rinpoche taught that for 35 years. Here's Michael to be our guide. Plus, we can do joy. Um, and the following is I'm going to put my hand up in Texas. You're in Long Island, that area.
Mhm.
If you don't mind putting your hand up, just feel a little vibe, but we're going to blame angels for this. Don't blame Canada. It's love and
Mhm.
above, none of my bill paying thinking that I have to go back to when we stop recording. What are you feeling right now at this level?
Hmm. Definitely a tube of energy within the centerpiece of my palm, that's giving and receiving, yeah, but definitely a nice tube of energy there.
Okay, and I'm gonna whoosh with my hand like a ping pong paddle your way, maybe once, maybe twice, maybe three times max. Let angels do the whooshing. No two will be
Mhm.
quite the same. I'll blow a little, the microphone's above. Here it comes. Here comes the first. Let a lot of angels come in, and if it's been a
Mhm.
long week for folks, ask, do Calgon take me away? If
Mhm.
anybody remembers the 80s or 90s, that commercial. But ask for a lot of lifting off of you of and more light and love coming in. Here it comes. And what was that like?
Just felt this kind of wave over my arm. It was beautiful, it was cool, but very healing for sure.
Okay, we're gonna go a little bigger. The second one's never quite the same. Go big, go home. You're already home, so let's go big. Here it comes.
Mm.
Is that a little stronger, bigger, wider? I don't know what to call it.
Yeah, we're able to feel it, around the auric field and everything. So yeah,
Okay.
that was really cool.
And for the final one, drop your hands. I'm gonna look like a goose. I'm gonna do double whooshing. We're gonna blame angels on this all the way. Ask for Jesus to come in. I was supposed to show his photo. It'll be the one from Heaven is for Real, the artist from I think
Wow.
Lithuania. Um, you know this shot.
Yeah, no, sure.
Ask
Yeah.
Jesus to come in as well. And if you don't mind getting a topic out of this, not trying to put any pressure on you, but I'm double whooshing. So people ignore me. I'll be blowing a lot. I'll look like a goose. Close your eyes. I'm not looking though, Jacob. I assume your eyes are closed now. Here it comes. You'll hear my blowing. And at home, play that over. Again, do a little compliment for Jacob. Thank him for his time here. And what have you enjoyed most about all the insights he's been sharing? He's about to come out of this and share another insight. Jacob, did you get a little extra whooshing, light, rippling, I don't know what to call it, positivity?
Felt a lot of steps in a light and just this man like above the stairs, like sending a lot of love. So I guess it's a representation of Jesus and just reminding us how beautiful, all that is we're connected to, and it's not very far away, and it's in the hands of the all, not the few or the powerful.
And I am going to do one or two quotes for you to get the juices flowing. So I'm going to off these quotes, two or three. I'd love for you to add one more in there, or at least a push,
Mm-hmm.
helping people avoid the daily routine to allow for more in their life, one way or the
Mm-hmm.
other. So here's just a few different quotes. I'll see what I've got 18 pages of them here. I'll see what jumps out. It could be Albert Einstein. It could be Winnie the Pooh. It could be the guy who wrote Moby Dick, Herman Melville.
Herman Melville, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here's one from Angels. Faith is
Mhm.
not knowing in life while letting go and loving. I like that one. Here's two more. Grow your awareness, not your thinking. Be loved to all as often as possible, no more and no less. Angels again. And let's see, Eckhart Tolle. Being aware of stillness means to be still. To be still is to be conscious without a thought. Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth. Okay,
Mm.
all those, did you get something and you can share it with us?
Mm. I think that's the exact muse that we need to have, in a world that is just so focused on. I'm saying the word muse because we are too much in news and need to get more into muse if that's a word or whatever, but get more into the zone and fall in love with imagination versus regurgitation, which is something that we were not taught at a very young age.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Getting away from externalities. If I made up a word, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And falling in love with life again. You got a big heart, is my final two bits here. Okay, here's the last little bit. What's your favorite tip for getting to here, no matter what the details are, the situation? How do we go full stop? You're closing it out now. What's the best way to be in the heart?
Mm. Just again, find the greatest moment that you could reflect on in your life, the greatest interaction, the person that you feel the most affection to, and keep that energy beyond a thought, beyond an idea, and make that into a feeling.
Jacob Cooper, really big heart. Did not know you were a New York Jets fan, but it makes sense. You're in that part of the world.
Uh,
And so we got lucky with that one, bringing that up as an analogy. Thank you
Amazing.
so much for, I'm going to say it this way, for gracing us by being on the show and sharing so much. You do that every time. And I'm really appreciative of you being here. And thank you again.
Likewise, brother. Thank you so much.